District 3 candidates, if you have pledged not to raise taxes or fees, what are your recommendations on addressing increasing demands from constituents, or from constituents? We'll start with Ms. Johnson.
I think it's really important that that we work with our citizens and get input from our citizens on what they desire in the community and how they wish to, as I spoke earlier about needs, wants, and desires. I think it's really important that we understand the needs of our community and then put those desires and wants aside. I think it is really important. Today we have a budget panel that is helping us with our evaluating our budget and our needs as a community, and I was very supportive of that, so that they would help us as we address our budget issues.
Mr. Martin?
You know, I thought about this a lot, and we all have wants in life. I've wanted a Harley Davidson probably for 30 years. And I don't need a Harley Davidson. But you know, the way I look at it is, if we put something before you guys and you just adamantly want it, then you may have to end up paying some taxes. There's no way around it. And the way I look at it, if it's something that the community really wants and needs and we can't afford it, then we would take it before the voters and say, hey, let's vote on it, and let's see if we want to spend our hard-earned money or not. And if we don't, set it aside. You know, we're just going to have to make some hard decisions up here, and that's all there is to it. So,
All right, a question to pose to our at-large unexpired candidates. Even though local races are nonpartisan, major political parties have endorsed candidates in these races. Are you affiliated with a party, and how do you plan to work with members of both parties at the local and state levels? We'll start with Ms. Mylinski.
Murphy's Law, I put a lot of this into my closing, so I'll have to think about my, didn't think you'd ask this one, but I am endorsed by one of the major political parties. Again, this is my first time in running for office, and the whole endorsement process has taken me a little bit by surprise. There are good things about it, and there are negative things about it, but overall, you're just asking for their support, and hopefully the party and or whoever endorses you backs you as a candidate and doesn't necessarily want you to impart their ideas. And that's the stance I'm taking. My integrity is very important to me, so even though I'm asking for support from some endorsements, I will not be a pawn to whatever their ideas may be. My title is Alliance Manager. I build partnerships, I build alliances, I work with competitors all the time. So I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that I will be able to work across the aisle in any fashion.
Mr. Cawley?
I have been a registered Democrat since I began voting. As an active member of my community, I make phone calls and knock on doors in support of candidates I respect. We are all here to serve the public's best interest, and at the local level, I don't see partisan politics having any kind of role whatsoever. At the state level, it may be a bit of a different story, though, and we may need to be more creative in finding ways to help our state legislators truly serve their constituents without depleting their standing within their own party's hierarchy.
Mr. Rao?
I've been endorsed by the Lake County Democratic Party. I have always been bipartisan in how I've worked to solve problems. I have bipartisan support for the campaign, but I think that when you call 911, or you ask for your trash to be picked up, or you're worried about congested roads, do you ask yourself, is the council Republican or Democrat? I don't think we do. I think it's about pulling people together and coming up with solutions to the challenges we face. In terms of building alliances or partnerships with leaders, I have very strong relationships with the leaders in our delegation for the North Carolina House, Representative Tom Murray, Representative Weiss, Senator Josh Stein, with our congressional delegation, David Price. I've built some great friendships with a lot of these leaders, and I've even gone to them with some different ideas. I think legislatively I've got some ideas of what we could do with maybe more R&D tax credits for early stage companies, get them started here in Morrisville. So I believe in, like TJ, that we should not have partisan politics on any endeavor. Thank you.
Question for our District 1 candidates. How would you propose to fund the town's obligation for its Phase 2 stormwater permits as required under the Federal Clean Water Act? Ms. Lyons.
In order to fund the stormwater, we would need to know the cost for the town. Once the cost is determined, we would need to know what funding we can secure from the federal, state, and county. Once that is determined, then we can look at the steps of where we need to go for our county. The budget will play an important role to see if we can redirect current funding for stormwater needs.
Mr. Schling.
This is another issue that the council's been putting off for about 5 years. They brought it up, they used a model, they looked at what Charlotte does, they looked at what other towns do. So I think it needs to come forward. It's going to probably require a fee increase. The trouble is, I don't think we have staffing for it, depending on how we do it. If we're going to bring it, since we have no water and sewer, Kerry controls it, we'll probably have to get Kerry to take those fees for us, or we're going to have to put in a property tax. And I think that's the quandary the council has been sitting on now for about 5 years, but they're going to have to come to it. I think, again, from a development standpoint, we have neighborhoods here in Morrisville who are complaining about the running water runoff, how it's affecting their water supply, and how the erosion is occurring in their backyards and their neighborhoods. So that's why we need to address it. We need to address it soon. We need to work with development and towns or in other areas where we can. Thank you.
A question for our 3 at-large candidates. What are your ideas on balancing growth with the not in my backyard movement? We'll start with Mr. Falzon.
Well, like I mentioned to many of you as I visited junior homes, growth is a two-edged sword. And while it benefits a larger community with revenue streams, with employment, and with appreciating real estate values, it can also cause the value of real estate that's adjacent to the project to decrease. And so as such, we should be really sensitive to that as a council member, to do everything that we can to come up with solutions in order to mitigate that loss of value for those people that are right next to that project.
Mr. Stolman.
I think you have to, it really depends on the situation. You know, what is happening in the backyard, what is it? You know, if someone moves into a neighborhood and it's farm behind them, and all of a sudden someone wants to rezone it as office or, you know, residential or something, I think, you know, those people maybe come to town hall, voice their concerns. The council needs to visit those people and really figure out, you know, what's driving that not in my backyard discussion. Very often it's zoning. We do have some inappropriate zoning in congruent neighborhoods. Very often you'll have, you know, things like offices next to residential. Does that really work? We recently fought a battle with the cell phone towers, where we were able to successfully defeat the cell phone companies from putting a 150-foot tower next to Providence Plate. So it does work. It just takes commitment from the board.
Mr. Mark.
The term "not in my backyard" means, as it says, not in my backyard. The way this is handled is through town ordinances and land use planning. The public needs to be involved in the early process when land use planning is in effect. And that's the way you handle these issues.
Thank you. Now a question for our District 3 candidates. Developers expect permits for a project that has no variances from existing zoning to take about 2 months. Do you think 2 months is realistic? And if so, what are your thoughts on reaching this benchmark? Mr. Mark.
You know, I just met with a small business owner that come into the area and was trying to open a business, and it seems like it's taking him forever to get a CO. And I think that the two-month mark should be able to reach that goal. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to just continue to